small part under ethyl alcohol is aldehyde dehydrogenase inhibitors. The drug included under this is disulfiram. Now before going into what disulfiram is, let us see the significance of this aldehyde dehydrogenase inhibitor. Now, as all already aware of, we have seen under the pharmacokinetics of ethanol that the enzyme aldehyde dehydrogenase, it is one of the enzyme involved in the second step of metabolism of ethanol. That is, ethanol is first acted upon by alcohol dehydrogenase. It gets converted into acetaldehyde. Further, this acetaldehyde is acted upon by aldehyde dehydrogenase and it gets converted into acetate, and this acetate immediately gets hydrolyzed into carbon dioxide and water. So aldehyde dehydrogenase is the enzyme required in the second step of metabolism of ethanol. Now this drug disulfiram, it acts as an inhibitor of this enzyme aldehyde dehydrogenase, which is involved in the metabolism of ethanol. So if this drug disulfiram is consumed, the metabolism of ethanol will halt at this particular step. Okay, so acetaldehyde will not get metabolized further into acetate, and then further it will not be able to get hydrolyzed. So acetaldehyde will start accumulating in the body if anyone consumes alcohol after taking this drug disulfiram. Okay, so once disulfiram is administered, and after that if anyone consumes ethanol, the metabolism of this ethanol will get held up at this particular step. This step will get inhibited, so that acetaldehyde, this step is not inhibited, so it is maintained. So acetaldehyde will be formed, but further metabolism of acetaldehyde will be inhibited. So because of this inhibitor, the concentration of this acetaldehyde in the body will go on increasing. Okay, so its concentration in the tissues as well as in the blood will start rising, and because of accumulation of this acetaldehyde, a number of highly distressing symptoms will start precipitating. Now these symptoms, these are collectively termed as aldehyde syndrome. So all these symptoms together, they are known as aldehyde syndrome. Now let us see what are the symptoms which are precipitated, or what are the side effects which are seen. Flushing is produced, then the burning sensation, throbbing headache is precipitated, perspiration, that is excessive sweating, will take place. The person will feel uneasy, tightness in the chest will be produced, dizziness, that is slightly giddiness will be produced, vomiting sensation will be seen, visual disturbances will be produced, mental confusion, then postural fainting also will be seen. That is, it will depend upon the posture that the person tries to stand up will result in fainting, and finally circulatory collapse may also take place. That is, blood circulation in various parts of the body may also be affected. So if you can see that the symptoms are quite very much severe and quite distressing. Okay, so use of this disulfiram, it is not done frequently. Okay, and it is to be used only in those persons or only in those chronic alcoholics who are motivated and sincerely desire to leave the habit. That is, they willingly are motivated to leave this habit. Okay, so in such individuals only you are supposed to try this particular drug, whereas you are supposed to avoid the use of disulfiram on in those patients or in those persons who are physically dependent on alcohol. We have seen under adverse effects that a person may also become physically dependent on alcohol. That is, the person if starts consuming alcohol round the clock, his or her body functioning will totally depend upon the presence of alcohol. That is, if the alcohol is absent, the person's normal physiology will get affected. So in such persons who are physically dependent on alcohol, in such persons it is not supposed to be administered disulfiram, otherwise it can be dangerous at times. Coming to the side effects of disulfiram. Now these are the effects which are precipitated when alcohol is consumed after disulfiram is given in a particular individual. But disulfiram itself also has certain side effects. So these include rashes, metallic taste, nervousness, malaise, that is general tiredness, and abdominal upset. Okay, apart from this, it can also inhibit the other enzymes. Now basically it is supposed to inhibit the aldehyde dehydrogenase enzyme, which is involved in the metabolism of alcohol over here in this context. Okay, but it is found to also be inhibiting other enzymes such as alcohol dehydrogenase, which is involved in the first step of metabolism of alcohols. Then apart from this, dopamine beta hydroxylase can also be inhibited, and also several CYP450 isoenzymes which are involved in the metabolism of several drugs. So because of inhibition of these cytochrome P450 enzymes or microsomal enzymes, it is responsible to prolong the T half-life of many drugs. Because their metabolism will get inhibited, those drugs which are dependent on these CYP450 enzymes, their action will get prolonged, or they will remain in the body for a longer period of time. Okay, so this is to do with the aldehyde dehydrogenase inhibitor. Coming to the next part of the chapter, that is methyl alcohol. It is also known as methanol, or it is also known as wood alcohol. Now methanol or methyl alcohol is only of toxicological importance. That is, as such, it is not used therapeutically. In case of ethyl alcohol, we have seen that it is used for external applications, mainly antiseptics, as a rubefacient and all. Okay, or as an astringent. Okay, and it is also utilized as a solvent in case of preparations which are supposed to be consumed internally in certain formulations. But this is not the case with methyl alcohol. Methyl alcohol is only of toxicological importance. Mixing of this methylated spirit with the beverages also may take place. Okay, so this may result in methanol poisoning because of the accidental consumption of the methyl alcohol, okay, in the alcoholic beverages, which is mixed with the alcoholic beverages. That's how methanol poisoning generally takes place. Okay, now coming to the metabolism part of the methyl alcohol. Okay, so methyl alcohol also gets metabolized in the similar way like ethyl alcohol. If you can see, the pathway is similar, the enzymes which are involved are similar, okay, just like ethyl alcohol. So methyl alcohol first is acted upon by alcohol dehydrogenase. It will get converted into formaldehyde, it will get converted into an aldehyde. So further, this formaldehyde is acted upon by another enzyme, that is aldehyde dehydrogenase, and here it will get converted into formic acid. Okay, but this metabolism of methanol is slow to occur. Even further hydrolysis of formic acid is also slow to occur. In case of ethanol, we have seen that acetate which is formed over here in this step, it gets hydrolyzed very easily and very quickly into carbon dioxide and water. But that is not the case with formic acid. Its further metabolism is even slow. No doubt its metabolic pathway is also slow to occur. Okay, so the rate of metabolism of methanol is 1/7 that of ethanol. So overall metabolism of methanol also takes place very slowly, and further this formic acid which is formed after the second step, that also is not hydrolyzed very quickly. If you can see the T half life of methanol, it is 20 to 60 hours. Okay, and it is also a CNS depressant agent, but it is less potent as compared to ethanol in depressing the CNS. Now coming to the methanol poisoning. Okay, what is exactly responsible for this poisoning and what are the symptoms or manifestations which are precipitated? Okay, now basically the toxic effects of methanol, they take place mainly because of the formic acid which is generated in the second step. That is, from formaldehyde, it is acted upon by aldehyde dehydrogenase and it gets converted into formic acid, and further metabolism of this formic acid is slow to occur, as I have already told you. Okay, and it is also folate dependent. This is very important. Okay, no doubt it is slow and also it is dependent upon the folate. Okay, so metabolism is altogether, further metabolism of formic acid is altogether slow, so that this formic acid will start accumulating in the body. Now if you can consider the levels of alcohol which are responsible for the toxicity, these includes the blood levels of more than 50 milligrams per deciliter. These will result in severe poisoning. If you can see that 15 ml of methanol can even result in blindness, and 30 ml is responsible for the death of the person. So it can be highly dangerous if this methanol is accidentally consumed by a particular person. Now coming to the manifestations of the symptoms of methanol poisoning, these include vomiting, then headache, epigastric pain, uneasiness, drunkenness, then disorientation, tachypnea, that is rapid breathing will take place, so ventilatory rate will be high, dyspnea, that is there will be labored breathing or difficulty in breathing, bradycardia, that is decrease in the heart rate, hypotension, that is decrease in the blood pressure may also take place. So these are the common effects which are seen. Apart from this, delirium, that is a state of mental confusion will be seen over here. Okay, so the person's mental state will be disturbed over here, so that the person will be totally confused. Seizures may also be precipitated. Epileptic seizures may also be precipitated, and at times the patient may suddenly go into coma also. Another specific toxicity is acidosis. Okay, so this is quite a prominent manifestation which is seen, and this is basically due to the accumulation of formic acid in the body. Okay, so formic acid, further metabolism is slow as we have seen, and it is also folate dependent. So formic acid does not get metabolized quickly, so it will start accumulating in the body, and since it's an acid, it will result in acidosis. Another specific toxicity of this formic acid is retinal damage. Okay, so it can result in the damage to the retina. So because of this, blurring of vision may be seen, congestion of the optic disc, and followed by blindness. Okay, so ultimately death is seen, which is due to the respiratory failure. Okay, so just before the death, the person will complain about blindness. Okay, so vision is totally lost because of the retinal damage. Okay, and death ultimately is due to respiratory failure. Now coming to the treatment. Okay, so this is our main aim, why we are studying methanol poisoning. So we should know what are the symptoms which are seen after or the manifestations of the methanol poisoning, and how can it be treated. Okay, so there are several treatment lines which are supposed to be followed in methanol poisoning. So first of this includes keeping the patient in a dark room, quiet and a dark room. Now why in a dark room is because to protect the eyes from the light, because we have seen that the specific toxicity of formic acid is the retinal damage. So we need to protect the eyes from light. So in that case, you should keep the patient in a dark room to prevent the further damage to the eye. Okay, another approach, if the patient is brought to you within 2 hours of consumption of methanol. Okay, as we are aware that the gastric emptying time is 2 hours. So if a patient comes to you within 2 hours of ingestion of methanol, you can go for gastric lavage, that is stomach wash with the help of sodium bicarbonate, so that whatever methanol is present in the stomach, that will be washed out, or it will be removed out through the mouth. Apart from this, supportive measures are also supposed to be taken, that is ventilation, that is the respiration of the person has to be maintained, then the BP also should be maintained in a normal range. Then next approach is acidosis. Okay, acidosis need to be controlled, as we have also seen that because of formic acid, acidosis is one more complication. So in order to combat this acidosis, we can give IV sodium bicarbonate infusion. So sodium bicarbonate infusion is supposed to be given. Since sodium bicarbonate, it's an alkali, it will start neutralizing the acidosis. It will help in combating the acidosis which is due to accumulation of formic acid. Another measure is infusion of potassium chloride. Now this is not as such a treatment line of methanol poisoning, but it is supposed to be given only if the person starts suffering from hypokalemia, that is decrease in the blood potassium level. Okay, so this may happen with the alkali therapy which is given. So because of this alkali therapy, sometimes hypokalemia may be precipitated, and in order to control this hypokalemia, that is decrease in the potassium levels of the blood, so this can be normalized by giving infusion of potassium chloride. One more measure is administration of ethanol. 100 milligrams per deciliter is the concentration which is supposed to be administered. Now why you have to give ethanol in case of methanol poisoning? Now under metabolism of methanol, we have seen that methanol metabolism is taking place at a slower rate. So as compared to methanol, ethanol gets metabolized at a faster rate. Okay, so when you administer ethanol in a person who is suffering from methanol poisoning, this ethanol which you have administered, it will start saturating the alcohol dehydrogenase. Okay, so alcohol dehydrogenase, as we have seen that this is the enzyme involved in the first step of metabolism of alcohol. So in case of methanol, alcohol dehydrogenase, it converts methanol into formaldehyde. So when ethanol is given, it will itself get metabolized, because we have seen that alcohol dehydrogenase is also the enzyme involved in the first step of metabolism of ethanol. So instead of methanol, ethanol will get metabolized. So it will start saturating this enzyme so that it will prevent the metabolism of methanol. Okay, so it will retard the or slow down the metabolism of methanol, so that the formic acid generation will get slowed down. Another measure is hemodialysis. Okay, so dialysis of the blood may be done. That is, whatever methanol is absorbed into your systemic circulation, into your blood circulation, or whatever formic acid or formate is generated in the body. Okay, so whatever is there in the blood, it can be removed with the help of this process of hemodialysis. Okay, so the blood is passed through, it is removed out of the body, it is passed through the adsorbent, and the adsorbents will selectively remove the methanol and formate from the blood, and the blood is returned back to the patient's body. And the next measure is fomepizole or 4-methylpyrazole. Now this is a specific inhibitor of alcohol dehydrogenase. So this can be used to inhibit the metabolism of methanol. As we have seen that this is the enzyme involved in the first step of methanol metabolism, which converts it into formaldehyde. So when fomepizole is given, it inhibits this enzyme alcohol dehydrogenase, so that the methanol metabolism is inhibited at first step itself, so that the formic acid is not generated. Then one more measure is folate therapy. Remember we had discussed that the metabolism, the further metabolism of formic acid, it is folate dependent. So when folate therapy is given in the form of calcium glucoborate, this will result in enhancing the metabolism of the formic acid. Okay, because it is folate dependent. Okay, so it will help in the speedy metabolism of the formic acid which is generated, and we have seen that formic acid is generally responsible for most of the manifestations which are seen, and more severe effects which are seen, okay, are because of the formic acid. Okay, so we can promote the metabolism of this formic acid, and it will help in controlling the methanol poisoning.